Hello everybody, Mannix here. Going to be doing a little knife review on the Cold Steel Oyabun. One of the most interesting knives Cold Steel has ever made. I'm a huge fan of Cold Steel. I like most of the stuff they come out with, but I'm going to be honest, ever since they got taken over by whatever that knife company's called, or Camping Gear, whatever the company's called that bought them back, I think it was late 2020, so not even 2 years ago, early 2022, filming this right now. Could be getting my numbers all wrong, but regardless, they haven't been the same company to me. And it makes sense. They're not really the same company. Someone else owns them. They got rid of a lot of my favorite designs. My favorite things that Cold Steel did, they no longer do as much now. No, they got rid of the small Talvar. They got the small Espada. And the medium Voyagers are gone. The XL Recon ones are gone. It's just the mini AKs are gone. There's so many designs I really love. They just got rid of them. I don't know why they did that. They just seem more like a kind of a plain Jane knife company to me now. I know, sorry, great way to start the review, right? Because this is a knife I kind of like. Don't love it, but I like it. It's kind of lukewarm on this one. Just lukewarm on the company as a whole right now. I kind of like the leaf spring locking mechanism they have right here. But the company's kind of a one-trick pony to me now. They get some like standard kind of boring looking liner lock knife, and then they put this locking mechanism on it, and they're like, there you go. New knife from Cold Steel. Fantastic, yeah. Great job, guys. I don't know. I wish they kind of went back and did the whole, like, more XL folders, triad locks, really strong, over-the-top folding knives. Because there's so many knife companies that do stuff like what they're doing right now, anyway. I liked it when they were different. But regardless, maybe nobody agrees with me on that, so there's no point for me to bring that up. Anyway, if I'm not a huge fan of this knife, why did I get it? Well, this is a knife for a gift for one of my friends who's really into a lot of Japanese stuff, and this kind of mimics a samurai sword. This is what I will say is kind of similar to what Cold Steel used to do. I don't know if they came up with this design before they were bought, so this is not a knife I would go out of my way to buy, but it is something I think he would like very much, and that's why I got it. And functionally speaking, it's a pretty good knife, but for the money, I think there's better knives you can get out there. It's just a little expensive for what you're getting, and I'll get into that in just a minute in the review. Overall, not a bad knife. It's good if you like the design. There's a lot of good things about it, but it's slightly expensive for what you're getting, I believe. However, functionally speaking, it's all there. There's no obvious problems with it. It's just slightly expensive. So let's get right into the technical aspects of the review here. We have a retail price of $69.99, which is not bad, but for whatever reason, these are like in the early 40s when you go to Amazon, eBay, or any knife store. 40, 45 bucks is what you're going to spend, and when we look into the materials, I think we're going to find out why that's just a little too expensive. These are 30 bucks. Oh yeah, great knife. 40 bucks? There's better options out there. But if you like this design, this is what you're just going to have to get for the money, so it's not a terrible price. It's just not great either. Weight is 4.1 ounces, so it's moderately heavy. It's not like light or heavy. It's just kind of in the middle right there. Blade length 3.5 inches. The overall length is 8.25 inches, making the handle length 4.75 inches. And then we have what we call GRN handle scales right here. And then we have the TPR inlay. It's kind of confusing the way they worded it. They gave it two different names. Basically, we have GRN handle scales, and then their Cray X insert right here, or GrivX handle scale. They call it GRN, and sometimes they call it GrivX. I guess they call this TPR, and then another spot on their website called it CrayX. Basically, we have FRN and a rubberized handle scale in the middle right here. I hate rubberized handles. I'm sorry, I hate rubberized everything. I hate rubberized textures on guns. I hate rubber for materials and stuff like this. I just feel, I don't know, they feel like they're going to rip on me. I feel like I can easily just like pick at them and just ruin them. But for grip, they're really good. They're really, really grippy. I'm just not into them. I like harder surfaces that aren't going to get destroyed as readily. It's just me. I could be dumb for thinking that, because it's not just rubber. It's a much harder material than that. No thanks. Not for me. But again, someone who's not necessarily a knife guy who I'm giving this to might absolutely love it. Like, oh wow, it's so grippy. So who knows? We have ball bearings in here. I don't think they really mentioned that on the website, but if you look closely, can you see them? It kind of just looks like washers from here. Let's try this angle. You see little ball bearings. Yeah, well, ball bearings in between the washers, it looks like. And it feels like it, too. It's very, very smooth. Oh, I love that. Absolutely love ball bearings in a folding knife. It really just smooths it out. You don't need any wrist movement with this blade. But what I will say is a little bit difficult to deploy because of the way this, I don't know, it's the way the flipper is shaped, but you might want to give it a little wrist flick anyway, so whatever. It's hard to kind of get a grip with my fingertip right there. I have to use the side of my finger to open it up. I like the way it looks though, but functionally speaking, it's a little worse. But again, it matches up with kind of the squared off shape of the knife. It's all kind of square, Same with the tanto. This looks closer to the original tanto blade from Japan. Not quite. It's still Americanized, but it's closer to like a samurai tanto, which is really cool too. So it is a functional knife. It's fairly comfortable, but it's not like a really comfortable handle. It's just not uncomfortable either. This is what I would consider a very versatile handle design. There's no choils, and it's not ergonomic or anything. This is just a line, basically, you know, not much of a shape to it. However, it's not going to be terribly uncomfortably either, which is the advantage. You can hold this in any number of different positions, and it will be comfortable all the time. It will never be super uncomfortable, which is the advantage to versatile designs right here. So it flicks open pretty fast because the ball bearings in there. The one disadvantage to ball bearings is that they can get dirty, and when you open it up, they can kind of just fall all over the place, so you got to be careful. CRKT, once, for one of their knives anyway, I don't know how many other knives they did this to, but their Tac 2, I believe it was called. I gave that away to a friend recently. That had ball bearings on it, but they were embedded in the washer. So it was like a washer with built-in ball bearings, meaning they wouldn't just fall apart or fall out on you when you took it apart. That was great. I don't know why no knife companies do that as much anymore, or ever, but I don't know why knife companies don't do that. They get the best of both worlds. It's not going to fall apart on you, or you're not going to lose the ball bearings, but you also get a super slick surface for the blade to open up. So, good question. I don't know. Could anyone answer that in the comments? Can anyone tell me why knife companies aren't doing that? I don't know. Anyway, I love the pot clip on here. Great pot clip. I like that design. It's really cool. It's stone washed. A little skeletonized in the middle right there, which is kind of cool too. Squared off wide. This is a really cool pot clip, but it is tip up right hand carry only. Definitely a tip up guy. I don't like tip down, but it's not a deal breaker for me if a knife comes with a tip down pot clip. If I like the knife enough, I'll still get it. I don't really care that much. It's just, I don't see the advantage to tip down, so glad they went with tip up like they do with most of their knives. Thank you, Cold Steel. Yeah, I just have some trouble deploying it. I gotta use the side of my finger like that. I can't use my fingertip, it's got a really strong detent in there. Ugh. Once you get used to it, it's not a big deal, though. Opens up every single time. You just have to open it a little different. Ooh. What the hell? What's my finger? Is my finger bleeding? It is. I got a little cut on my fingertip. How'd that happen? That was weird. Yikes. That was not planned. Maybe I cut myself on this right here. Kind of sharp. Slightly sharp corners on that flipper. It doesn't hurt that much at all. I just noticed my finger was red. I was like, what the? Looks like a little paper cut. Yikes. Well, if that's what happened, that's the exact spot where I was flipping it right there with my fingertips. That's another reason to use the side of your finger. Oof. Sharp flipper right there. Be careful. Hang on. All right. The show must go on. So, another disadvantage we have found to this knife. My opinion has dropped even more on this guy. That is really unfortunate. I think I just cut my finger just trying to open and close it. And you know what's interesting? On this side, I just noticed now with the light, it looks like they kind of rounded off this part of the flipper, but not up here. And it's definitely not rounded on this side because it is a righty knife. They didn't even bother rounding off this portion of the blade. If you were lefty and having to open it, it's round on here, but I think they missed it right here, and that's how I cut my finger while trying to flip it open. That's a major disadvantage. You injure yourself while deploying the knife if you use your fingertip. Another reason not to try and do that. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I was just trying so hard and it wasn't flicking open. I just cut my finger. If you use the side of your finger, again, like this, it'll open up easier, but who's to say? What if I cut myself doing that eventually? That's a really big disadvantage. Maybe I got a fluke right here. I don't know, but keep that in mind. Anyway, not the end of the world. It's just, that's not good. That's not good for the folder. But anyway, kind of made all the points. It flicks open. Once you do flick it open without injuring yourself, it flicks open pretty easily because those ball bearings in there. I love the way it looks, love the design. Not digging the rubberized handles, but some people do. Not a big deal. If you don't like rubberized handles, you probably wouldn't have bought this knife in the first place. Again, I wouldn't have. I eyeballed this knife for a while. I just never bought it because it wasn't really my thing. But again, it's going to go off to my friend. Just got to warn him about the flipper there. Be careful when deploying this knife. You might just injure your fingertip. I like how the blade goes completely flush on the under the handle. I think that's very elegant. I like the kind of whitish gray FRN handle scales we have here, I guess. I like the backspace right here. Steel liners that are skeletonized a little bit, lightly skeletonized. You have 3 big holes on this side. And what's funny is there's like a smaller hole. Actually, no, sorry, that's the same size. Like 4 holes on this side, but then we have smaller holes on the other side of the liner. Yeah, they really did their best trying to skeletonize this thing to lighten it up as much as possible. But so this in previous videos, skeletonizing liners doesn't really do very much for lightening it. You might say maybe 0.15, 0.2 ounces or so. And we're talking ounces, guys. We're not talking pounds. Are you really going to notice all that weight? I don't really care. Again, I've carried knives that were in the 12-ounce range. It didn't really bother me, so it doesn't really matter to me. But if you're into your weight, there you go. They tried to lighten it up at least. I don't like how thin this liner is. It feels cheap to me. I don't think it matters too much. I mean, thicker liners technically are better for just a little bit more strength when it comes to trying to keep the light. Here's another problem with it. If you don't deploy it with enough strength, the liner doesn't really catch on. You see the liner didn't fully engage to it. If you give it some force, then it goes in there. That's another problem with the design. It's just, I don't know. Not the best executed folder. I do like the leaf spring, I think they call that, which, again, they put on a lot of their folders as a lock for the lock. That strengthens it up a little bit, and it's manual, so you don't have to use it if you don't want to, which is nice and all. It doesn't get in the way. You don't lose anything by having the lock here. It has a very firm snap to it. I like the way it looks. It's got some sharp edges on there that hopefully you won't cut yourself on when trying to open and close. It's a really cool design. Oh yeah, the blade steel, I didn't tell you. Here's one problem. It's a 4034 SS, which is a Krupp stainless. That's like lower end. That's below 8CR13 MOV. It's below AUS 6. You could argue it's below 440C. It's a really cheap blade steel. Gets really sharp, and it sharpens really easily. It's a very simple composition. I think it's just 3 elements in the steel. Don't remember. It's chromium, carbon, and like one other thing. I think I can't really remember. But it's... I don't know why they put this on this knife. They didn't just go with like AUS 10 or AUS 8 or something like that, or even 8CR13 MOV. I don't know why they cheaped out on the blade steel right there. Because the knife, again, $70 retail in like $40 range. You'd think this would be like a $25 or $30 knife. It's $40 or $45. It's a little expensive, so it's got some functional flaws. The lockup is not the best on it. You know, it's kind of new. I didn't use this knife too much. I used it for work a few days and I opened and closed a lot, played with it. But the lockup is not the best. If you don't flick it all the way with enough strength, you can see the lockup's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes it's more to the left, sometimes the liner's more to the right. So you have an inconsistent liner right there. It could just be, it has to be broken in even longer, but a knife should not have that problem for that long out of the box. And then, of course, the flipper, that's a major flaw. It's kind of tricky to open up. Don't use your fingertip. You might cut yourself. Use the side of your finger. Haven't caught myself doing that yet. Love the design. It's cool. Don't like the rubberized handle. I like the pocket clip. It carries okay. The rubberized will stick to your pocket a little more while trying to pull it out. We got a lanyard hole down here. I like the kind of symmetrical design of the handle. And, you know, this is like a mini samurai sword. It's really cool, but if this were more like $25 or $30, I'd recommend it. For $40, if you're not really into the design, I don't think there's not a single point to getting this knife. It's just not good for the money. There's way better knives out there you could get for the same price, if not cheaper, even from Cold Steel and from other companies too. So anyway, that's a cool looking knife, you know, interesting concept, but its execution is kind of poor for the price. It's not terrible. It's not a bad knife by any means. It's just for the money, you could get better knives out there. So anyway, that's it. I'm still going to send this out to my friend. Hopefully he likes it for his birthday. So yeah, there you go. Cold Steel Oyabun.